Hi guys, Pete here from Ashton's Cars. You joined me on my evening commute. Just a few random thoughts really, but I might start doing a couple of these little vlogs. I have been using an EV for the last 5 months. Quite enjoyed it in some ways. I've enjoyed the tank. It's only been a Nissan Leaf, but they have got quite a bit of kit on them actually, in fairness. It was quite a high spec, so it had the 360 camera and it had the collision avoidance system and the thing that recognises your speed limit when you're driving along. I mean, it was impressive, some of the kit on it for the price range the car was, because we had it up for sale for £6,500, and you know, it did feel like a fairly modern bit of kit for that sort of price mark. But I've taken an inquiry on it today, which I think is going to lead to a sale, so I'm no longer using it. I think it's going to end up going and leaving the fleet. So I'm back in really a bit of an old shitbox. This is a 2012 Vauxhall Insignia. It's the 2-litre EcoFlex diesel. SRI spec, I think it is, although it's that stage where the SRIs didn't really mean a lot. Got slightly nicer seats perhaps than a standard one, but there's not really that much sporty about it other than a decent-ish set of alloys when it was new. As it is now, it's done 164,000 miles and it is a bit tired, but it does drive quite nicely. They tend to do that. I've just tanked it up with diesel on our company fuel card, and my mileage, my range with £88 of diesel in it, 855 miles. I was getting maximum 140 out of the Nissan Leaf, and that is where this little sort of a bit of blurb leads us. Is that progress? I'm sat in a car that is really yesterday's vehicle, isn't it? It's a diesel. It's not even ULEZ compliant, this isn't. These are shunned well now by all the councils and environmentalists, but on that basis it does about roughly 100 miles to a tenner, and the tank holds enough to do 850 miles. My family live in Scotland, in Ayrshire. I could drive from Wales to Ayrshire and back in this car on one tank of fuel. If I took the EV there, I would have massive range anxiety and be stopping 4 or 5 times on the way up alone. You know, if I had a phone call in the middle of the night, I know which car I'd be taking. So I was a real EV hater up until recently, but having lived with a Leaf a little bit, I'm not anymore. I have to say, if you don't do a huge amount of mileage, or you want something as a second car, an EV like the Nissan Leaf, it was the Generation 2 model that I had, but with the smaller battery, you know, it does make sense. It's great to drive, and when you plug it in at night, you wake up in the morning and every day you've got a full tank of juice. It's just when you go over that full tank's range that you start getting question marks, issues, anxiety. And my thing on the Leaf was that I was happy using it because I wanted to see how it was to live with an EV, but also because I have got always a second vehicle on my drive, be it something like this that we've taken in part exchange that I'm just sort of banging about in, or I've got my Disco 2, which is obviously not exactly the most practical motorway cruiser in the world because it's done for off-road with a lift kit on it and chunky tyres, but it is actually more than capable of driving a long distance in one hit if I wanted to. It's a very solid and reliable example. So, but is that progress? Is it really progress in this country that I need to have 2 cars now? And I have so many customers telling me they've got 2 cars because they find that they cannot manage without one anyway. If one goes into the garage, if something goes down on one of their cars, they need a backup vehicle. So we're getting more and more cars on the road, which successive governments have said they want to try and increase public transport, that sort of thing. It's just not happening. We're in love with cars. We love having our own space. I have to say I've changed my tune a little bit on the EVs. I do think if you're after a second car, and providing you're not, if there's two people sharing two cars and you're not both doing stupid mileage every day, it makes sense to have one of them as an EV these days. And it's the little things in the EV that mattered, or that I found cool, like the fact that I could park in EV spaces in. So when we went to the theatre was a good example. There was some parking in Cardiff, especially in Cardiff Bay, where the Welsh Millennium Centre is absolutely chaotic at the minute because they're knocking down one of the big car parks that we used to use. But in the EV, I could use the EV only spaces with the charger right outside the theatre, and I could stick my car on charge while I was in there. Meant I had a really good parking space, full battery when I got out. Yes, I paid a little bit more for charging it at a public charger than I would have if I used my home charger, but actually the convenience of it all was fantastic. It made up the difference. So that was a big sort of little bit of a stealth benefit that I perhaps wasn't expecting. And it's probably the same when you go to a lot of things, even if it's just to the big multi-stories in town and city centres. There's a lot of EV spaces there, and I'm guessing if your experience is anything like mine, a lot of them are empty. So rather than fighting over the other spaces, I can just slot myself into an EV space, stick my car on charge, and all of a sudden, life becomes a little bit easier. So I do like my EV, and I'm sorry actually to see it go, and I think I will be in the market for another one. I'm not going to go up market with them because it's just not our thing. So I can't see us having any sort of Teslas and stuff like that in any time soon. But having had the Leaf, I would definitely buy another one of those. Having bought not bought a lot of Renault Zoes, but having quite a lot of Renaults in stock over the last couple of months, I would certainly try a Zoe, provided it's got one of the purchase batteries. I wouldn't want a leased one. So that would certainly be of interest to us. So watch this space. We might well get a few more EVs in over the coming months. I have got a home charger on my house, which I inherited when we moved there. Previous owners had an EV. So I'm keen to use that a bit more and save myself some money. We've got a really good supplier in Octopus of electricity, and there's loads of EV tariffs on there, and you are able to switch between them. So I have got the ability to have very cheap overnight charging for an EV, which is great. So I've got the charger, I've got the cheap overnight charging, but I haven't got the car anymore. And you know what crazy thing is, I've just done about 15 miles in this Insignia that I'm in. Insignia 2-litre diesel. And it's now saying I've got 857 miles in the tank. So I've done 20 miles, its range has gone up. I've been driving, of course, like an absolute saint. There's something, as much as I love the new tech and I like modern cars, there's something really nice about driving around in an absolute dinger like this. It's got a big scrape down the side of it, a bit of rust on the wheel arches. There's a tiny bit of noise from the dual mass flywheel, the DMF. Not enough that it's a real problem at the moment. And I'm just so tempted to keep this as a bit of a runaround thing, just to soak up the miles really, and not put any on my sort of nice shiny sales fleet. And it's also handy to have a car like this that you can lend out to customers if needed, because nature of my business is we do have warranty claims and sort of cars come back in after sale where we need to put things right for someone, which we always do try and do. We always try and jump on that as quickly as we can. But if you haven't got a spare car in the family, people need to get to work, people need to get places. It's always handy to have a cheap but very reliable car that I'm running around in. spare car. This car only cost me, I think it was 35 quid to tax it for the year. It might have even been 20. It wasn't more than 35, because I'd have remembered that. I think it was 35 quid for the year. And as I'm saying, it's doing, that's got to be 55, 60 to the gallon. Insane economy. Reality is, it is cheaper to run the EV if you charge on your home charger only, and you've got a decent supplier like I have, like Octopus. I'm not trying to promote Octopus, I'm not getting anything off them for doing this, but they are very good. And if you've got a proper fast charger at home, it is very cheap. It's very, very cheap to run an EV. I'm talking like, I think less than a quid to charge the car up. I mean, it's ridiculous. But the next best thing is to have a cheap old diesel like this, because before 2016, before 2017 is it, you get the cheap tax. And these older diesels, in my opinion, are better on fuel than some of the newer stuff. I think the newer stuff was just choking up the diesel cars because of the amount of CO2s and nitrous oxides that were being chucked out. They were just so determined to get that down that they forgot about the good old-fashioned fuel economy. These older ones, these like 12, 15-year-old diesels, there's something else when you get in them. And they're probably, all things considered, because bear in mind there is depreciation on a new car, all things considered, the cheapest thing to run in the world is an old banger with a diesel engine and cheap tax. What can I say? So on that bombshell, in the words of Clarkson, I will leave you to enjoy your day, night, or whatever it is that you're doing out there. Thanks very much for watching our channel. And just as a quickie, we are always in the market to buy cars, so if you have got a Renault Zoe or a Nissan Leaf or anything really that I can sell, let's say sub 8 grand, because that's the market I try and keep myself in. Anything that you think I could retail for less than 8 grand, I might be interested in buying it off you. I am a little bit fussy, and with that type of car I am looking for something that's got some service history with it, full service history preferably, and a reasonably low mileage for what it is. But I will pay top prices for it if you've got something that's nice. So give us a shout, and I'm going to go and enjoy my 164,000 mile Insignia now on the rest of my journey home. So bye for now. Thanks for watching.